Okay. Hi, Deborah.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm quite excited to be here on a Monday evening and really just looking forward to presenting hopefully something that's a little fresh and new to everybody.
Great. Yes, lovely to have you, and we're quite enjoying the learn to swim / learn to stroke dynamics of this.
Yeah, I think this was a brilliant brainchild of yours because there's such a gap in the market for any kind of courses and teaching for people who are moving from the learn to swim into learn to stroke. It kind of just jumps from learn to swim right into stroke development, and that leaves a lot of learn to swim teachers without the appropriate skills to teach amazing strokes. And really what it comes down to is learn to swim teachers make great swimmers. You know, gone must be the days where coaches have to do stroke correction and then blame the learn to swim teacher for not teaching the child appropriately. I am very much of the feeling, and hopefully can share the information that leads us from learn to swim right into amazing learn to stroke, where I hear a lot coaches just praise the quality of swimmer that comes out of my program and into theirs. So I'm hoping what I shared this evening will do that for a lot of the viewers out there this evening.
All right, great. Right, we've got 57 coaches in and teachers. I think let's take it from there. I'll end the polling and share it with everybody so we have an idea of where we are. Can you see that, Deborah?
Great, yes, yeah. So nice to see that sort of half of the majority are in the learn to swim department, but a lot in learn to stroke. Also very happy to see people who've got coaching and stroke development skills, because I think it's important for them to understand where the learn to swim teacher is coming from. Yeah, I see the approach. There's a lot of limited hands-on. It's the way I teach, so it might be a little bit controversial for those who like hands-free. What I'm teaching can absolutely be done hands-free, but I do feel there's just more acceleration in terms of quality teaching and quality development in the stroke with that little bit of extra hands-on. So thank you for that. It's great to see. And it's wonderful to know who I'm speaking to.
All right, great. I think you can go.
Okay, excellent. Right, everybody. I am definitely more used to speaking to everyone live. So it is quite something different for me to be just speaking to the computer screen. A lot of my talks, if anyone's been around, know that I rely on a lot of engagement. So yeah, I'm going to be engaging with PowerPoint and hopefully getting it all across. Please note that there's a lot of information I want to share with you guys. I'm going to be moving through the PowerPoint quite quickly. I haven't had too many cups of coffee. I just want to make sure that I give you quality and good value for your time that you're sitting here this evening. So let me just screen share. Right. I just also, there we go. Okay, great. All right, so just want to make sure, Cheryl, from your side, the screen sharing is up and you guys can see that all clearly?
Absolutely perfect, yeah. Okay,
awesome. All right, so obviously this evening, our progressive drills program is starting with that of backstroke. The reason we've used the word progressive drills is it's just becoming very important to understand that when we are developing strokes, that it is a progressive manner in which we're doing it. If you're trying to develop strokes and build them where there are fundamental errors or gaps in skill, it's going to set your swimmer back, as well as the amount of time you spend on teaching them. So yeah, let's go forward with today, this evening actually. Right, this is who I am, Deborah Morrison-Goet. I've got an extensive academic background, qualifications with Swimming South Africa, Swim America and ASCA. I've got 24 years of experience. Hopefully it doesn't look like it because I've done a good job with my makeup. But yeah, a lot of years of in the pool teaching, out the pool coaching, really just understand the dynamic from, I would say, level 3 swimmers, the highest level I kind of coach, all the way down to Todd Swim. I've been an entrepreneur in developing my own businesses. I've been a swim school owner, a partner, a manager. I've been program director on several swimming programs, as well as site supervising, and also have been involved in aquatics in several ways, and always love giving back to the aquatics community. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. My CV is out there somewhere. If you want to know more, you're welcome to ask, but let's move ahead. So I've put this quote here. It's one of my favorite quotes, actually, and let me just read it out to you. I'm going to speak some reckless words, and I want you to listen recklessly. It's Yangtze, and basically why I put this quote up and what it's intended on saying is, as I speak, I'm going to say things that might be fresh, new, or old. I want you to listen recklessly. I don't want you to listen with a closed mind where you're possibly thinking, oh, but yeah, I know that. Oh, yeah, I know I do that. You know, this is all stuff that is known. Please just keep your mind very open. And if there's just 2 or 3, 4 things you can walk away with that's fresh and new for you, I feel like I've done a great job. So please listen recklessly. Just to give you an outline of the talk format, I just find it's always good to know where we're going. I'm going to give a little bit of an intro, some assumptions, and a caveat. This next point, the Great Teacher Manifesto, because we're doing a 6-series talk and I really want to add to more than just your skill set, I'll be adding tips and points on how to be a really great teacher. So hopefully it gives you inspiration and either affirms what you're doing is correct or it teaches you something fresh and new. So I'll be adding to that every session. So please keep an eye out for that. We'll be then digging into the progressive drills. What I've noticed on all the talks that are currently out there at the moment, there seems to be drill identification and then a little bit of explanation and moving on. What we're trying to do here at Swim Coach is offer a higher quality and something new. So not only will I give you the explanation of the drill, but I'm going to share with you my teaching points and some fun tools that I use on how to teach. Because often the Learn to Swim teacher is left with the knowledge of the drills, but then is unsure how to communicate it to their children. So hopefully this adds to that toolbox that you currently are building. If we've got time at the end, I'm going to just talk through a typical lesson just to give you an overview of everything that we've done, and then hopefully some questions. Right, so basically here my intro is backstroke is a stroke that is swum on yaw, and I've left it open. And hopefully everyone's shouting at the screen going, oh, obviously you're back. Where I want to really shake things up is backstroke is actually a stroke that's swum on the side. There's so much rotation in backstroke that to say it's swum on the back is actually semi-wrong. Let's not say all wrong, but semi-wrong, because you definitely are not on the front, you are on your back, but it is rotation. So backstroke clearly relies on balance and rotation. And another big point for me that I have to make is that kicking is absolutely vital and needs to be consistent. One suggestion that I've put here, and as I've mentioned, I'm also the sort of limited hands-on teaching. I would highly suggest that you be in the water for longer than you think. Now, what am I trying to say is often Learn to Swim teachers are in the water 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day, depending on how you teach. And when a child is actually competent to be water safe, the tendency is to jump out so that you can get a break from the water. My suggestion is if you stay in the water a little bit longer than you think, you can actually be in the water adjusting and assisting the swimmer in order to achieve perfect practice. And it will really result in saving time by increasing the speed at which your swimmer develops their skill, so that when you get out the pool and are coaching them from the side, the quality of the stroke is there. Some assumptions, and these assumptions are basically what I'm going to go through every session, is that I'm assuming that we're all talking about the same swimmer. We're talking about swimmers that are water safe, that you've got an appropriate environment, that your classes are potentially 1 to 4 swimmers. What I'm providing is not something that would be big class progressions. I just find the quality then deteriorates. The assumption is also that there are learned
foundational
skills such as floating, basic back kick, and streamline ability.
Can I just interrupt there? Sorry, a couple of coaches are saying that the slides are blurry. I'm looking my side and they are fine. I'm not sure what it's looking like on mobile devices. That might be the problem.
Okay.
So if
It's
coaches,
sure.
if you go top, you can change your view option. So I'm not sure if that will then change it. All right, a little bit of feedback is someone else is on a mobile device and it's fine.
Yeah.
You will all be emailed this, so we can always go back and double check where need be.
And I will be touching on everything, so if people are not able to read it, don't worry, I'm literally covering everything on here.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, excellent. So I was just basically saying that there's an assumption that there are the learned foundational skills of floating, basic back kick, and streamline, and that there's an appropriate progression that they can do those activities over 5 or 8 meters. And some swimmers or swim schools that have bigger pools at their school might be able to have swimmers able to back kick for 10 or 12 meters, streamline back kick for 10 or 12 meters. The 10 or 12 meters is in brackets because it's not the be all and end all, but there needs to be this basic foundation in order for us to build on the learn to swim and learn to stroke drills that I've put forward today. Just some caveats here. The first one says one way, it's not the only way. Really what I'm putting out here, I don't want to say is the only way to be able to teach the stroke of backstroke to learn to swimmers. It is just the way that I have found that has worked immensely well. I'm highly complimented. The quality seems to be there. And then when the children get passed on to coaches, the coaches are also very complimentary on what they're seeing. So yeah, just know it's not the only way, but it's certainly my way. The next point that I've put there is that it's not a one size fits all. We all know that every swimmer is individual and has different abilities. So the presentation really is put forward in a generalized fashion that would be for the general swimmer. You need to adapt the program accordingly if it's not working with one of your swimmers or if there are different needs. The next point, which is in red, and it's a big one for me, is minimize repetitious mistakes. This is a very big one for me. Don't allow your swimmers to swim lengths of your pool, and maybe the length of your pool is 8 or 10 or 12 meters, or maybe you're in a 25, but do not allow continuous repetition where there are errors. If there's a mistake, if it's due to a need for a better demonstration or maybe a rest, please do that. And also make sure that the foundational aspects are correct. Often when there is repetitious errors, there is something wrong perhaps with the floating or the streamline. Go back and work on that. The next 2 points are really just my personal preference. And so no offense to teachers who are doing it, but I'll just give you my viewpoint. I suggest no back kick with board on the tummy. So there's a lot of teachers who are teaching where the swimmers will hug the board. I'm not a fan. The tendency of the hugging the board causes a rolling in the shoulders, and then the swimmer is not lying back on the shoulder blades, and then the floating is inappropriate. Buoyancy, balance, and kicking are then all disturbed. If a swimmer can't float and the swimmer can't kick, then you need to take them back to those fundamental aspects. Another one is I tend to avoid one-arm backstroke with streamline. With these little ones who are in learn to stroke development, with the one streamline arm up and the other arm working, I tend to find that rotation is interfered with and they stay flat on their back. And the way I like to teach is with rotation. I also have put there limited use of full backstroke while there are timing errors. Basically, I don't like to do too much full backstroke if the swimmers are doing that sort of one arm. You'll see them swimming backstroke with the left arm and it halts at the leg, and then one with the right arm and halts at the leg. Of course, it's going to happen, but the way I teach is trying to teach the timing to avoid that error. So I do limit full backstroke to maybe 1, possibly 2 lengths, and never more than that. I'm teaching all the parts and then only finish with the whole. Right. I hope you guys are staying with me. I'm sure you are. Just the Great Teacher Manifesto. Like I said, I just wanted to point out some really important things to just put in your playbook as a teacher and instructor. So number 1 is repetition is everything. Anybody who's been in swimming knows that when you've had to get fitter, faster, develop the skill, it doesn't matter at what level, repetition is everything. And sometimes I see there's a tendency for the instructor to say, oh, Shane, Johnny's getting a bit bored, let's just change the exercise. It's up to the teacher to keep the child engaged. So please, loads of repetition. The more you can repeat, the more you can follow a progressive repetition, the better your result. The next point there is to know the end destination, an in-depth knowledge of the stroke. If you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what great backstroke looks like at a high level, it's not going to help you. You're going to find yourself allowing the swimmer to create mistakes. I mean, here's an analogy. If I want to get to Cape Town, I've got to know where Cape Town is, so that when I drive out my driveway, I know I need to take a right, a left, a right, follow the main road, get onto the highway N1 South. If you do not know that, you're going to come out of your driveway and at random, you're going to just start turning left, right, right, left, and I don't know, maybe you'll end up in Timbuktu, it won't be Cape Town. Swimming is exactly the same thing, and the best stroke development and learn to stroke comes from having this in-depth knowledge. You don't have to be that Olympic swimmer, but the knowledge has to be there. The next point is quality over quantity. This is a very, very big thing for me. I would rather have a swimmer swimming 8 meters of beautiful little backstroke than swimming 25 meters of an absolute mess. You're just going to be reinforcing mistakes, and it's going to cost you time. It's going to interfere with the child's confidence. They're going to start feeling like they can't get things done. As soon as tiredness kicks in, it's more in reinforcement of errors. So please, quality over quantity all the time. And then the next big thing for any great teacher is to keep things fresh and fun. So hopefully you can pick up some tips from what I'm going to present today when we jump onto the backstroke drills and teaching points. But just quickly, the 2 points I've got on the right-hand side there, anyone can learn drills from courses, books, and online. But can you deliver it in a fresh, fun, engaging way? Anyone can be playful and fun, but can you deliver technical excellence to a child's mind? So these are questions you really need to ponder and make sure that you are fulfilling both sides, the technical side of it, as well as the fun and fresh side of it. Okay, so let's just jump straight into backstroke. Sometimes the best way to know what to do is to know what not to do. And this is what the slide is pointing out. I'm just going to bounce through it. We don't want a high head, in particular where the eyes are looking towards the chest and the water sits at the back of the head. We want that water around the face. We don't want a low body position. And I've put there diagonal or V. The diagonal is when the swimmer is at here with the feet low down, hips over there, head and shoulders over there. We also don't want this shape. This is the swimmer who's got the bum sagging down and the feet kicking out. We're looking for a totally different position. Also, errors is no body rotation. Although there are a lot of swimmers out there and they're being taught to just lie flat on their back, I highly suggest that you start introducing rotation. Kids just accelerate in terms of their learning and their ability when there is that focus on rotation. Other errors is inconsistent kicking, ineffective catch, and incorrect timing. And basically, I've just put this in order of importance. The first 4 are absolute musts. The catch and the timing are something that you can start to look at further down the line. But remember, you want a clear idea of what's wrong and then hear what's right. You're looking for a still head. You're looking for a high body position that's horizontal. hips and shoulders in line. You're looking for excellent body rotation, consistent kick, effective catch, and correct timing. Right, the overview of what I'm presenting, just to try and get your mind to be able to click on what's happening, is well, I'm going to show you back kick and 4 variations of back kick. I'm going to show you one arm, but 4 variations that you need to be teaching. These 2 aspects are the prime aspects that you're going to use in the Learn to Stroke department. On the right-hand side, that column that says Advanced and to SD, SD standing for Stroke Development, I've got some exercises there which I literally progress my kids from the Learn to Stroke into Stroke Development. I am not going into those 6 exercises in great detail today. Stroke Development is for another talk. I'm going to focus my attention on the other 2 aspects of Learn to Stroke, backstroke. Right, so back kick. The most important part of backstroke is kicking. Now, there might be some coaches out there going, no, what are you talking about? The underwater catch, pull, push phase is far more important. But really, the reason I put it there is the emphasis on the child's mind. I drill it into my swimmers' heads that they need to know that kicking is the most important, and that if their body position or their arms are failing, that the best way to get that back is to use the kick. I also, again, always use the words, if you're not kicking, you're sinking. And I often just quiz my kids with that and let them fill in the sinking, and they love it. It's a great way to engage and to share information. Right, so the first one, we're going to look at back kick. Streamline back kick, streamline side kick. I've put back because there's a variation when it's on your back versus on your front for freestyle, and then log roll. So first one is back kick, and this one is with no streamline position at all. Just basically, here is my explanation of how I will explain it to my swimmers. Maybe you can use some of the words, maybe it's useful, maybe you already do. So we start in the back ready position. This is on the wall with the feet engaged, hands engaged. I start teaching my little ones right from the get-go. I find there's nothing worse than as a coach when you pick up swimmers who just push off the wall on the tummy and then do their little dolphin roll onto their back. So I'm already ingraining this appropriate start. I then ask them to put their head back like they're going to wash their hair, and then a push and glide that, and in brackets there it says soft. The reason I'm saying it's a soft push and glide, because this initial exercise, which is one of the first ones in the Learn to Stroke series, swimmers often, if they push off too hard, end up jumping out the water and then falling back in, going under, cover their face with water, water up their nose, and then they're unhappy. Those who are not jumping out the water, if they're just pushing too hard, create a massive wave that then comes over their head. So I'm just allowing them the opportunity to get off the wall with a gentle push and glide. I then always ask them to start kicking. If they feel like they're losing speed from the glide phase, then don't lose speed. Let's go kick, 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 fast little kicks, bubbly splashes. My key words when I'm teaching the back kick is eyes up, tummies up, and kicks up. I've got a second variation, eyes up, chest up, toes up. And this really just depends on the swimmer. You need to use your discretion to notice who's doing what, which body position is failing. If the kicks are flailing out the water, then you just ask them to get the toes up. If the bum is hanging down quite severely, if they push the tummy up, great. Obviously for backstroke, we want the chest up, but engaging the right words for your swimmer is paramount in order to get them in that amazing horizontal plane. It's important to teach the one-handed back touch for safety. I do this right away, right in the beginning. Even if I've got to assist and hold, my kids know that safety first is everything. And the point down there next is assist and make adjustments for perfect practice. So I'll have this almost on every slide, just as a reminder for you that these children are not expected to do it all alone. Please let them do what they can on their own. Let them push the boundary of trying to find the kick and the float, but please make sure that if the body isn't correct or the head needs to be held a little bit to ensure that they're not just under the water, please do so for the quality of the kick. So This exercise in particular teaches kicking, obviously, as well as balance. One of my key points that I put forward is to lean back on your chicken wings. So I show my swimmers my scapula, my little shoulder blades at the back. In particular, when I put my hand behind my back and touch it, it really looks like a weird little chicken wing. So I say, look at my chicken wings, lean back on your chicken wings. That always seems to get them to be able to lean back, shift the center of buoyancy, and then get that center of gravity to lift up. I also always use the teaching tips of soldier kicking. I tell them to show me how a soldier stands. They're not slouched and hunched over. They stand tall, shoulders back, chest up, which engages that leaning on the shoulder blades, and nice strong body. Often what I do is I try doing one of the things incorrect. So maybe let the eyes go down, or kick with the tummy down, or kick with low kicks. I let them make the mistake, and then we all laugh how they sunk under the water and at how it didn't work. And then suddenly they buy into the correction. So if you're finding kids are not quite getting it, try doing it wrong, laughing about it, showing the correction, and then moving on with the positive change, and of course lots of praise. Again, progressively work it over 5 meters, 8 meters, 10 meters, 12 meters. Obviously adjust those numbers according to your swimmer, and build the distance in order to build the confidence. So some fun tools on back kick, because if you're doing a lot of kicking, it's going to be a lot of repetition. So here are some fun ones that I use. We ask, where are we going? So if we've got 2, 3, 4 kids in the class, I'll just tell them where we're going. I'll say, oh, we're going to the shops today, or okay, we're off to the planets of the universe. And then I'll let each one choose one length where they'll pick. So if we do planets of the universe, for example, say, okay, where are we going? And then they'll tell me, okay, we're going to Venus. And sometimes they don't know the planets, and then they'll just say the Hubba Hubba planet. And that's absolutely perfect. You can laugh and have fun with that. Another thing, once they're getting through 1 or 2 or 3 lengths, and please, my length is not a 25 meter, the length is the distance that you're working. Sometimes they start to get tired, then I tell them, oh my gosh, the aliens are coming from planet Venus, you guys better go, push fast. And they tend to speed up and have a lot of fun. So what could be quite a boring drill actually becomes really fun and playful, not only for the swimmers, but for myself as well. Other ones allows for the focus over a number of lengths, the repetition. Sorry, I've just described that. Another one is, what are we driving? So they can then select, do they want to be a speedboat or a jet ski or a rocket or a Ferrari? And if you've got a very busy group, I would suggest just giving them 2 or 3 options. But if you've got real creatives who are quite good with answering, they can pick what they want. Another big thing here with back kick, which I find is really an amazing exercise to do, is can you drive or will you crash? So basically it's back kick exercise, but I'm teaching them to keep their head really still. And as we know, the head leads the stroke if there's no streamline. So they first drive as straight as they can. And then I say, okay, guys, now I want to see how bad. Let's see. Can you drive this way? Can you drive that way? And I actually get them to zig and zag, and then I get them to straighten up again. And it's amazing how the penny drops when they realize swimming skew is actually within their control to correct. So it's a great skill that you can use with your swimmers. Right, moving on to streamline back kick. This is an exercise that not every swimmer can do. Some take to it like a duck in water, and others really struggle. So please try and group your swimmers accordingly, but let the ones who are struggling watch the ones who can't. The drill, we're going to start in the back ready position again. The head is back, washing the hair. Then I use the cue words, make an excellent pencil. So for me personally, I teach streamline position. There with the arms, you can't see my ears, there with arms behind the ears. I know some teachers prefer to have it on the ears. I know anatomically it's not easy for little kids, but for ones who can, I've got the arms behind the ears. And I use the word excellent so that they feel like when they're getting it right, it's really working. You might get swimmers who love to start with that streamlined position there or bent like that. Then I tell them that's not bad, but show me an excellent one. Or that one is good, but what is an excellent one? And then they understand the tweaking of the ability to change their body shape to take it from one level to the next. Obviously then from the excellent pencil, we'll push and glide. They start kicking, don't lose speed. Fast little kicks, bubbly splashes, eyes up, tummies up, kicks up, and then I tell them, find the wall. The streamline position is already up, the head is safe. Get them to understand that they've got to kick all the way into the wall. Often the swimmers are just eventually floating at the end, hoping to find the wall, say, you're not going to find it, you've got to kick all the way to the wall. Great skill again to teach a swimmer for later when they're in coaching groups. Again, assist and make adjustments for perfect practice. Sometimes you're going to have to adjust the streamline. Sometimes you're going to have to get the hand position in a better place. Sometimes there might be a need to just balance the hips and the hands. So please work with it so that the children can feel what the right thing is. Streamline back kick is all about balance and kicking. Try again doing one wrong, something wrong. So what I've suggested here is sometimes to try where the hands are too low or too high. Those of you who might understand how the body works, if the hands are too high, even if in that horizontal position, the hands sticking up like that, what tends to happen is the chin drops, the hip drops, and water comes on the face. In the opposite position where the hands are too low, the hands almost dip right under the water and pull the swimmer under the water. Swimmers do not like this if they're not a fan of water on the face. Water goes on the face, on the nose. So again, show them that this is not the water was being naughty or you did it wrong. It's just about how you control your body, and it's all in your hands. Literally, excuse the pun, I didn't practice that. Okay, moving on from there, again, progressing it over 5 meters, 8, 10, 12 meters, build the distance, build the confidence. Right, some fun tips. I use the one where you're going to be a crocodile, a shark, and a rhino. Say if I've got 3 kids in the class, I will then select who's the crocodile, who's the shark, who's the rhino. Obviously, these 3 animals either have a pointed snout or they have a horn, and children using their imagination love that for their streamline. I will then rotate them on each length and say, okay, now you're the shark, you're the rhino, and you're the crocodile. And then we go again, so everyone has had a turn with each animal. It just gets them moving through 3, 4, 5 lengths without them moaning and feeling tired. Another example, another exercise is rocket, arrow, pencil. Usually I'll just do one of those. I'll say, guys, right, we're going to do rockets or we're going to do arrows. The key points here is I always use the words of strong and sharp. So we don't want a broken pencil. We want a nice sharp pencil. We don't want a spaghetti arrow. We want a strong arrow. And if you use the words, use your tone, the kids love it. They're so engaged, and then visually they get it and able to execute. Another example is where are we going, which I spoke to you about. This one I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit more. So for example, I tell them we're going to the shops, and then it's about driving to the shops. So we drive one length and then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a red robot. Let's have a rest, everybody. Get ready now. Robot is going to turn. 3, 2, 1, green, go. And then we do the same thing with the stop street and say, oh, we're at the stop street. What do we need to do? Let's check everyone's safe. Are we ready? Everything's clear, ready, and go. So I use these ideas, and when I'm finishing off, we always go to the parking of the shops because then they can park their car. Again, you can use what are we driving, and another one that I often use is hungry fish. Hungry fish can be done with 2 or 3 or 4 swimmers. You need more than just the one. The front fish is the fishy who's got to get home without being eaten, and then all that are the hungry fish, and they've got to eat the fish in front. So obviously I set them off at different times, and if the streamline touches the toes of the swimmer in front, then that hungry fish got to eat dinner. But if the swimmer in front made it to the wall, well, then that fishy was safe, and the other fishies are so hungry, we're going to have to try and see if we can get more dinner. Obviously, again, I manipulate the gap so that they don't eat too early. I make them hungry so that they want to go again and again, and then I let them get some meals. So yeah, just have fun with it. Right. Streamline, side kick for back. Now, the next 2 kicking, this exercise and the next one, there might be a lot of people who are watching here that are going, no, Deborah, no, this is so advanced. These are adult exercises. Kids shouldn't be doing it. But to be very honest, there are many adults who struggle with streamline side kick and who struggle with the log roll, the next one we're going to do. I really do feel that you should challenge your swimmers, and with the right teaching, the right support, and keeping the distance small, you can get your swimmers to do it. I have seen it, and it has been incredible, and the benefit of having a side kick as you move into backstroke and start using rotation is just absolutely beyond. So please, in the beginning, when you are teaching your swimmers this, it is tricky, they do struggle. Encourage them, keep going, and if you keep including repetition, you will see the results. It is amazing. And so please, if you've thought, no, it's too much, I can't, or I don't want to, please throw that idea, be reckless with the idea, toss it out the window and give this a try, because it will pay off. Right, drill explanation. You start on the wall, start again. This time you've got the streamline arm leading. So I would be on the wall with the swimmer, the swimmer would be on the wall, one arm already in that streamline ready position, head back. You want to ensure that the head is in the correct position, and the rotation is all on the body. So it's the streamline arm leading, head position must be correct, eyes up. Then there's the push and glide. Again, start kicking, don't lose your speed. I now explain to my swimmers before they leave the wall, obviously, but that there's no splash. I remind them, no splash. It is a side kick, and the tendency is there's no splash. If swimmers are not sitting directly on 90, I have no problem with that. Quite often backside kick with the face obviously perfectly out with the body rotated. Sometimes swimming at 90 is not possible, quite often actually. So we don't want flat back swimming, but maybe you can find the sweet spot somewhere in between. And if your swimmer finds the sweet spot, they will literally feel like they're floating on a cloud. So if there's a little splash, it's not a problem if they're sitting in their sweet spot. Otherwise, make sure there's a rotation of the hips and the legs and the shoulders so that it is a sideways scissor kick. Also speaking about the scissor kick, you want to make sure that, and I use the words in the teaching tips, you'll see quick kicks with long legs. Sometimes you get the swimmer who hears scissor and then is doing these really long, wide open kicks with bent knees. So it's still a flutter kick. It's just now on the side. And with a little practice, the swimmers really get it well. Again, touch to finish. They're leading with that one arm, and it's an easy and safe touch. Assist and make adjustments for perfect practice. Correct the head, correct the body. You might even have to correct the hand. Just a lot of assistance at this stage, either on the hand, the shoulder, or the shoulder and the hips. If you're working hands-free, you can use noodles. You can even put a board at the front and a noodle under the hips, and just get them to start feeling that motion. In the teaching points, you'll see I speak the words here: strong arrow hand, point to where you're going. So the reason, again, I'm saying strong arrow is creating that visualization of that long reaching arm. Let me just put it out there. And the reason I'm now talking about the hand is that the swimmer who is engaging in this, if the hand, let me actually move so you can kind of see here. If the hand is tilted in, you know they're going to go skew that way. If it's all tilted out, you know they're going to go skew that way. They've got that huge gap. So teaching them the steering of the hand and the arm, which we did in the previous exercises, becomes very beneficial here. Because now, if they're feeling like they're swimming perfectly with a great engaged arm and head position, and they're still going skew, it's simply because the hand is either lax in the wrist or is pulling too far over onto the other side. So teach them. It is so important that they understand how to drive straight. The sleeping arm lies on your leg. So I always mention that the other arm that really isn't working is the sleeping arm. Let it lie on your leg, and let the sleeping arm sit under the chin. And again, if it's the sweet spot is not there at 90, it's welcome to not sit under the chin, but allow the child to try. Please don't have them doing this. If that's what they're doing, you can tell them to open up the gap completely. Many swimmers do it. So yeah, I encourage you to tell them to steer away from that. So sleeping shoulder under your chin, and can you make it dry? I challenge them to keep that rotated body over the distance 5, 8, 10, 12 meters that they're kicking. Some fun tips and tools here is the swordfish and the unicorn. Both creatures have a single horn, and so it just creates a great visual for this one-arm streamline. Hungry fish, safe fish, which I explained earlier. And then Superman and Superwoman. Obviously, we see these superheroes flying with their one arm. Please encourage them, however, that they are going sideways, flying through the universe to go and save the world. I hope you're keeping up, guys. And thank you for, just your attention and your time.
Deborah, sorry, maybe I can just jump in there. There was a question, you described the hungry fish really well. Could you explain the crocodile, shark, rhino example?
Yes, it really is just about the kids being in a streamlined position. So it just looks like, for instance, the snout of a crocodile, or the snout of a shark, or the horn of a crocodile. It's just about the shape the body's making, and then they just swim as the shark to the other side, and then I'll tell them, okay, now it's your turn to be the rhino and the other one's turn to be the shark. I hope that helps.
Perfect.
Okay, excellent. Right, so the log roll. This is an advanced kick, and again, throw out the window that you think little ones can't do it. Those that have learned how to float well and are comfortable on their back are really, really good at this exercise. Again, you're starting in the back ready position. You're pushing off and gliding nice and soft. There's no streamline. So again, like the very first exercise, we don't want a huge tsunami of water coming over their face. We don't want them to jump out and then go under. It's a gentle push and glide. And then we start kicking, don't lose the speed. Now, keeping the head still, we then roll the body like a log. So I'm just going to jump to the teaching points, and you'll see that I've put in, it's about rotation, circular kicking, and the feet kicking in a semicircular shape. Now, I demo this with my hands. I will show the swimmers we're kicking in a semicircle shape. So we're on our back, kicking left, kicking up, kicking right. Kicking right, kicking up, kicking left. And that helps the mind understand what's happening at the feet. Obviously, with the rotation of the log, it's going to be rotation of the hips, the shoulders, and the belly button to one side, and then lots of kicking to roll to the other side. Changing the direction requires more kicking, so it's a great way for the kids to really put in effort. If they're struggling and you need to adjust, hold their head, give them that little bit of security, knowing that they're not going to sink underwater and get water up their nose, and keep rotating the body. I've put under the drill explanation that there's no need to count the kicks. The rotation is key. Some kids do it fast, some do it slow. Really just judge it on its merit of them being able to create rotation. And if they're really good at going fast, see if they can control it really slow, but that is not the primary point here. The rotation is key. I also remind swimmers under the teaching points that if they start using their hands, just going to stand like little fishy wings at the side here, I try to encourage them not to do that by reminding them that you're a log. A log is the tree trunk. They've chopped all the branches off. Trees don't have hands and arms. And then the kids get it again. So tall like a log, no hands. If they are starting the drill and they need a bit of hands, then let them move forward with that. So just the fun tools again is be a log, tall and long, and you roll in the waves of the water. Any kids who've seen any documentaries or sometimes in cartoons where the lumberjacks are sending along the river, it's a great visual for the kids to see. The second one is to be a seal or an otter. Great animals that are in water that are very good on their back and also good with rotation. So in the log roll, and obviously they're rolling left, kick, 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 roll to right, kick, 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 and left. If they've done really well, I'll tell them, wow, you get a treat. And I toss them a pretend fish, and then they open their mouth and the seal or the otter gets their treat, and off we go again. I'm also quite honest in my feedback. If I feel like they haven't got it, I will be honest and say, guys, you're almost getting it, but I don't think you could get a treat just yet. Let's try it one more time. And it just encourages them to try a little harder and give a little better. Obviously, they will get treats after the second or third or fourth length. I don't want to discourage them, but I'm very big on delivering honesty as well as pushing my kids to, not to their limit, but to their potential. Right. So that is the 4 aspects of kicking. We're moving now on to one-arm backstroke. It is only one drill, and because we are in learning to stroke, remember we're not in development yet, we stick to one single exercise and we get it right. I've broken the one-arm backstroke into 4 different sizes. They're just different in the sense that there's a different focus point. I will never teach one-arm backstroke where there is focus on all parts of the arm. It is just too much for the kids to engage. And I would highly suggest that they're really good at their kicking when you start moving on to this. So the first one is thumb to pinky. Obviously, we're working only one arm at a time. You start the drill in the back ready position. You push and glide. There's no streamline in this exercise. The next part I've put there 6, 8, or 10 kicks. Now, the reason for this is often one of the biggest mistakes swimmers make is they jump straight off the wall, and when they've been told that they can use their arm or arms, they go straight off the wall into some kind of backstroke windmill wheeling. So again, I'm trying to teach appropriate progression for that sort of top swimmer, which should always be push, glide, kick, and then introduce the arm. So here we've got push, glide, add in the kicks. The kicks, the reason I've put 6, 8, or 10, it's dependent on the distance and dependent on the swimmer. Some swimmers are going to struggle to get their legs up and get going, and they need 10 kicks. Others only need 6 and they're ready to go. So again, please use your discretion. We're then going to lift the thumb and create a long arm. In my teaching points, you'll see there I've put strong hand, strong arm, no spaghetti. And it's the same that I mentioned earlier. We don't want this wobbly spaghetti arm. And the reason I've said strong hand, strong arm is that often if you engage strong hand and wrist, the elbow and the rest of the arm becomes strong. It's not common that there's a floppy wrist with a strong arm. So engage the wrist and hand, make it strong like a karate chop almost, and immediately the muscles of the arm are engaged. I then also teach my swimmers, before we've taken off, lift the hand out with a straight arm like you're going to shake hands. And then I do a little shaking hand demo with them, and I show them, look, you see, the thumb is on top. It also just gets them to create that long arm and to understand that they need to reach out. Instead of creating this horrible straight up arm, we're getting a beautiful long reaching arm. The next point under the drill explanation is to point to the roof. I always say to my swimmers, you're going to point to the roof and stretch. Again, it's just adding to the rotation. If they just put the arm up, there's no shoulder rotation. If they stretch, shoulder rotation is easy and they're not even thinking about it. The other point that I teach, depending on the swimmer, is hand in line with the nose. So there you can see in my camera, my hand is in line with my nose. You've just got to watch out for the error where they don't rotate and then the arm goes across the body. We're looking for the arm in line with the nose coming out of the shoulder with that little bit of rotation. Just correct as you need to. We then obviously from that pointing to the roof for that 90-degree position, we'll turn the hand, we'll lead with the pinky. It will then pass the ear. The past the ear, I do mention that we might have to chop off the ear. I don't want them leaving this huge gap, and I don't want them lying there. So we all know head straight, no moving head, shoulder, chop off the ear. You'll see my fun tip, I call it the magic cauliflower ear. I tell them that there's this big cauliflower, it's growing out of their ear, chop it off. Oh my gosh, what's happening? The cauliflower is back again. Chop it off again. And then they just enjoy each time that the arm passes the ear, that they're creating magic and chopping off the ear. They love it. Kids are gruesome, but they're so fun. So yeah, passing the ear, we then cut the water with the pinky. I use the word cut because my examples are always trying to create a visual image. If you'll see under my teaching points, I say cut the cake, huge slice, don't smash it. So the reason I'm asking for a huge slice is again that ability to rotate, because I want a huge slice. I want to cut all of that cake rather than just this little bendy T-Rex arm that can happen at times. And if you ask kids, do you want a small piece or a huge piece? 99% of them, if their moms are not present, will tell you they want that huge piece of cake. And then the don't smash the cake, it's such a beautiful one that again I find always works, is I say to them, so your hand now, this is your knife, you're going to cut your cake. So now you've got this delicious chocolate cake for your birthday. How are you going to chop it? Do you go, hiya, cha? And they go, no, no, no. And I'm like, why not? And they tell me, because the cake is going to splatter on the roof and there'll be no cake for us to eat. And then I'm like, exactly. So that's what we need to do. And this just encourages them that when the hand is entering in the water, there isn't that wild splashing, which we know is such a pivotal part of an error in backstroke. We want that hand gently entering the water. And then, of course, you keep repeating the arm. Lots of assistance, lots of making adjustments here, obviously working from behind the child if the head needs support, otherwise just working with the hand to correct perhaps the pinky or getting it closer to the ear. But loads of adjustments if you're in the water will increase the speed at which they develop the skill, and then you can get out the pool, and the swimming is wonderful. Again, always remind these kids as soon as they've moved onto the arm that if you're not kicking, you're sinking, and it's just a great reminder. The last teaching point I put there is slow the arm if needed. Oh, boys in particular, I'm going to generalize here, but I think all the teachers will agree with me. The boys just want to go flat out. The faster, the better. So encourage them just to slow it down, just to get it right. Also as well, if the legs are sinking because the mind is focused on the arm, then break it up. Create one slow arm, wait for 6 kicks, another slow arm, wait for 6 kicks. I have no problem with that. So fun tips. Quiz time is a big one I use when they're resting or they need a bit of a break. I'll ask them which finger comes out first and where do we point, the windows or the roof or the door, and I'll ask them which finger cuts the water. I often mix up the order of these questions because the really smart kids will just learn the stock standard answer, thumb, pinky, so it's a good way just to make sure that they're paying attention. And yeah, just joke if they get a little bit wrong, say, you didn't hear the question, oh my goodness, you're going to lose points. And often on all my quiz time games, if they got the answer right, I'll give them points, and at the end, when we do our cool down, whoever got the most points can then select the fun exercise. It's not a must, it depends on your group. If they're competitive, do it. If it upsets them and they don't like the comparison or the competition, you don't have to do it at all. Right, the next fun tip is paint a stripe on the roof. Obviously, it's a one-arm drill, and we will be practicing both left and right. So I get them to select what color paint is on the left arm, and now we're going to paint a perfect straight stripe. It must be neat and tidy, and this gets them and encourages them to really watch the quality of the arm, to stretch for the roof. And then I say, don't mess the paint, the water is paint. So when that hand cuts back into the water, it's not smashing and messing the paint, gently scooping it up, scoop your paint and paint that stripe on the roof. I then get them to change the color when they go to the other side. And yeah, if you've got those children again who are very creative and then they want golden pink sparkles with rainbow colors and purple stripes, and they're going to take 20 minutes to decide, literally give them a choice of 3 colors, or just tell them left hand blue, right hand red, let's go. Magic cauliflower ear we've already spoken about, as well as the cake cutting. So that's thumb to pinky, and really that is the outside recovery of the start of the arm. So the next one is catch, pull, push. This is the underwater aspect of the one arm of backstroke. For little ones, it is really difficult. We're not going to concentrate on the shape and trying to engage a whole bunch of things, but these points that I've given here really will help the child start learning how to feel the water, how to propel themselves under the water. So again, you start in the back ready position. It's a push and glide start, but I would like you to lead with that leading one arm. So when they have practiced streamline, or in particular the side kick, this is where we're we're going. So it is push off into side kick, the 6, 8 or 10 kicks depending on your swimmer. And then it's about catching the water, pulling the water, and pushing the water. So I'm just going to jump to the teaching points and just tell you how I teach this and how I get the mind engaged. We say, how do you catch a ball? And I say, show me. And they'll either catch like this, or catch like that. But either which way they show you, they're always showing you that they catch with the palm. So then I say, can you catch with the back of your hands? And they're like, no, don't be crazy. And that just helps them visualize which part of the hand. I then also explain to them, and if you can see in my picture, the arm is in the water, the pinky has entered, that we catch, engage the wrist and catch. And what's sitting in my hand is a ball of water. That visual picture of holding on to something really helps them to get a feel. And then you'll see in the next part, I will demo that there's a pull phase. The water's far away, you're pulling it towards you. And then there's a pushing phase where you're then pushing the water to your feet. It's a great way to get the kids away from the scoop and then the hand coming straight up like that. And it is not too much info. The kids really, really understand the catch, the pull, and the push. In particular, if you explain, I'm pulling the water towards me, I'm pushing it to my feet. At that point, they're going to touch the leg, and I encourage them to touch and lift. I want them to lift that hand quickly out the water. I don't want them to hold it there too long. We don't want to build the habit of the hand waiting next to the leg. They then lift that hand through, and again, gentle pinky to touch. In my my teaching tips, I say you can pause at the streamline of the hand entry for extra kicks. No hand pause at the leg. So if they are struggling to kick or maintain body position, or they're just not a unconscious kicker yet, please don't wait with the hand next to the leg. Rather let that hand get right past the ear into that side kick streamline position, get some extra kicks. 3 or 6 kicks is usually perfect, and then go again. So I use quiz time as fun tools here again. First, we do what with the water, everybody? We catch, and then we pull, and then we push. And where do we push the water? To the feet. And they get great at learning this information, and it stays with them so that when they are swimming at home or at school and they're being told to scoop the water, they actually know, they've got great information. One tweak to this exercise, which really makes it great, is when I say, what ball are you catching and throwing? Sorry, it should actually say catching and kicking, or throwing and kicking. Catching, throwing, and kicking. So they'll pick a tennis ball, a cricket ball. I even offer a water balloon if they can't think of what. And it is catch the ball, pull the ball, push the ball, and it's now at the feet. Once they recover the hand and they're kicking again, I say, right, kick the ball right back to your hand again, and let's go. Catch, pull, and push. Very engaging, and you get great execution across this drill. Just again, make sure that there is rotation, and don't be too strict on the underwater propulsion. If they're getting most of it right, just as long as they're not pulling elbow down and not straight arm scooping through, then they pretty much have got what they need. Right, the next one is slow, medium to fast. Again, it's a one-arm drill, staying on the one side. And if you can, try to ensure that the rotation is there, the balance and the kicking. We start in the back ready position, and I leave it up to you as the instructor to decide no streamline or one-arm streamline, and then pushing off, introducing the kicks, and then the one-arm stroke, the focus is on. If they've started in the water, they're already holding the water. But if they're coming up, is to gentle to enter, slow to catch, medium to pull, and fast to the feet. And then again, encouraging them that when you come to the leg where the hand has pushed the water to the feet, is to lift up. We don't want them to delay with that hand next to the leg. And if you look at the teaching tips I put there, demo the hand lifting out, not halting at the leg, and you can use the fire game or the shock game. So basically what I tell the kids is that their legs have got fire coming out of them. And once you catch, pull, and push, and the arm lands next to the leg, I want you to touch the leg and lift. I want you to burn your hands. That fire is so hot. And I do the same thing with, just tell them they've got electricity, like electric eels, and they can touch the leg, but get that hand up, lift. And I use the word lift because later in my stroke development, I use that word a lot. So those are great exercises. Also some fun tools is the cheating exercise. It's one of my advanced exercises, and it basically is the only exercise I allow my children to cheat. And basically they're catching the lane rope, hand goes under, hooking, and they catch, pull, and push. It's a great way to teach them that the catch is slow, the pull engages medium, and then if you want speed, you've got to move fast through the push of the water. It's a great exercise, but you need to make sure they're executing correctly, otherwise you're going to be teaching errors. Right, the next one is shoulder lead. This drill, again, still a one-arm drill, but there's a totally different focus. It's all about the rotation here, creating balance and kicking. The demo words that I use, the teaching tips is, and you can even watch me, I go shoulder, no, wait, let me actually tell you. If you look at the fun tools, it says there, besides teacher Zebra, because some kids call me Zebra instead of Deborah, who's the boss? And I tell them in this one arm backstroke, the shoulder is the boss and the arm must follow. So we basically will rotate the shoulder out, the arm comes out, rolling the shoulder into the water, now the arm can go in. A lot of the kids will come with the arm out first, say, the arm is not the boss, who's the boss? Shoulder out, shoulder in, arm in. And it's a great way to get beautiful rotation, long reaching arms, and excellent for setting up the advanced backstroke drills. This is the drill, this is the time in the drill that you're probably also going to demonstrate that the hand entry in backstroke, because they've been chopping off the ear, is going to be in line with the shoulder, or like I've put there where the hand enters at the 11 or the 1 on the clock. Now, some kids really do struggle with this. They think it's going in at 11 and 1, or they think it's going in line with their shoulder, and it's either totally bent over there, or it's totally wide out there. Please use overcorrection. Overcorrection and telling them to put their hands in at 10 and 2 completely eradicates that error. So yeah, use overcorrection to fix that backstroke arm to there. I always remind them that there's no swinging the arm over the body. So I don't want to see this kind of backstroke. It must be the shoulder first, leading the arm. And again, build the distance, build the confidence. Right, I know we're tight for time and I hope you guys can hang on. We're getting really close to the end. I just wanted to show you advanced drills that I do when they're moving on into stroke development. It's 12 kick, 6 kick, 3 kick switch, and a 3 swim switch. Just one thing you will notice is that I've put the word L there. And as I mentioned earlier, I use the word lift to explain the fact that the arm, when it starts its recovery, is thumb coming out, the arm lifts, that we're not waiting next to the leg. Big mistakes that I'm seeing in any learn to stroke or stroke development classes is coaches are allowing swimmers to do 12 or 6 or 3 kick switch where the arms are totally switching like a windmill. This in itself is a whole entire talk, so I'm not going to go into it, but if anyone has some questions or would like to learn more about it, please let Cheryl know, and I'd be so happy to go into stroke development of backstroke, where we've kind of left the drills we're doing and we're moving forward into the big pool. Some other advanced stroke drills I mentioned was the cheating exercise. We use the lane rope. And of course, now that they become more advanced, I introduce backstroke race, teaching them the appropriate back start, underwater work, how to count the flag so that they're going to get to the wall in time and be safe their head. Safe so they don't hit their head. I'm sure they're safe in their head. So one big point for me at the end of the lesson, there's always some kind of cool down or fun time. But I like to give my parents and my swimmers their money worth. So they swim for 30 minutes from the moment they get in the pool to the moment they get out. So even though it is fun time, we look to do back sculling on the board. So sitting on the board, if they've got that ability to balance and have core strength, and they're either double-handed sculling there, or single-handed alternating left, right. I also offer them the option of recovery backstroke, that they're being jellyfish with double arms. And you can even include it with little hands, and that is what I call penguin. At times, I offer them a fun stroke where we maybe just combine the backstroke kick with butterfly arms, or switch up and freestyle arms, breaststroke legs, anything that's just fun. If I've seen that they've done well, there's a lot of focus and we need to break the backstroke. And then perhaps, you know, the kids have been learning a lot of freestyle and we've done so much backstroke. I just want to reinforce what we did at the last lesson with backstroke, freestyle, and then I get them to do a different stroke. So for me, even the cool down and the fun time is still about learning. You would have noticed as well in that fun time, there's a lot of sculling. The little ones really need to learn how to use their hands to move, as well as get a great feel of the water. Trying to teach little ones to scull too soon can create a lot of errors. So make it in a fun way where they're having to move their bodies and they naturally will pick it up without even thinking about it. The typical lesson, basically, all the fun tools that I've just described to you, my kids will come to swimming, and although it's a full, technical, well-practiced backstroke lesson, they might have warmed up by kicking milkshakes on the side. They would have jumped in for bobbing for bubbles and looked for treasure under the water, or spoken to the mermaids. They would have done back kick by maybe driving to the shops. They would do one-arm drills that maybe they were buying things from this aisle. What did you buy? Some popcorn. One arm backstroke this way at the end. What did you buy there? So they could have a shopping experience. Maybe they bought cake. They then would have the cutting the cake, just as I've spoken about, as a game. And the final finishing, if I decide that they should be working all the parts into a whole, I tell them when they do that one length of backstroke that you're going to cut 2 cakes, chocolate and strawberry, and I want a vanilla milkshake coming from those feet, and I want lots of bubbles in it. And then you try and get them to pull it all together. So although the swimmers have had an extremely technical lesson, for them, it's just been a party with a lot of learning. And the parents actually enjoy it as well. And to be honest, to teach it that way is very fun and very rewarding. So I just want to finish off with a quote here. I don't know if anyone's heard it, but it's about being a great teacher. A sign of a good teacher is when the swimmer leaves and says, "My teacher was great." But the sign of a great teacher is when the swimmer leaves and says, "I am great." And really that is the focus. It is all about the swimmer. So thank you, everybody. I fabulously enjoyed that. Apologies that it was a bit over, but I wanted to be sure that I gave you as much information in as much detail as possible, because the drills are out there, but not many people are giving you how to teach it to children and some fun games in a way that will execute it in the appropriate technical way. So thank you. Cheryl, are there any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Deborah. That was great. And a lot of information. We have run over time, so I do apologize if coaches do need to go. We'll leave this Q&A on, and Deborah can just hang around for a few minutes so we can get through them. If you need to go, please do, and you can catch up. Otherwise, I'll go through them quickly.
Excellent.
Okay, from a question here. I have a student who kicks well on her back, head straight, but goes around in a complete circle. What is the cause of this and how do I fix it?
So obviously I'm assuming that the head is leaning off in a slightly one-sided direction. In particular, if it's a circle, or you find that they always crash to only the left side and not the right side, there's probably a slight angular leaning. Also, if the head is appropriate, to go and check the hips and the legs. But generally, if you teach them that exercise where I do the drive straight, now drive zig and zag, they learn to control their body and that kind of error goes away.
Okay, great. I'm going to combine a couple of backstroke kicking questions here. They kick streamline back, kick with arm up behind ears all the way to the wall. And I suppose that depends on how long the pool is maybe. Or...
Yeah, like I said, it's all about the quality. So if it's only 5 meters and you're the teacher who stops them and lets them swim back again, absolutely. The distance depends on your pool size and the child's ability. But say you've got a 10-meter pool and the child is fully capable, they will start in the back ready position, go into backstroke and kick, back streamline, and will kick all the way until they touch the wall.
Right, and is that kick a normal backstroke, side scissor kick, or dolphin? What do you do in all your drills?
Yeah, in the drills, it is a flutter kick. It is going to be in a side kick position or a back kick position. I introduce dolphin kicks only specifically to when we're introducing butterfly, which is one of our talks next week. But I don't get them to do the start with a dolphin kick. I save that until they move into the big pool and move into stroke development. It's just too much of complication of the body, and I'm looking for high quality. So flutter kick on the back, or if the body position is to the side, then it's a flutter kick on the side.
Right, perfect. And mention of head position in backstroke, ears in water or out?
The head definitely in the water, as I mentioned at the start of the talk. If the head sits too high with the water almost around there to the chin, you're going to get dropping of hips, because head and hips are totally related. We want the head back with the eyes looking up, and the true measure is the water will be around the face. So the ears will be in the water, and if you've got that water round the top of the hairline and to the chin, you've got the perfect head position. Another little tip for maybe someone who was asking is I tell the kids, if you took an orange or an apple and you imagine that you held it there, your chin is just in a position to hold the apple. If you push the chin down too far, you'll push the apple out. And if your chin is too high, you can't hold the apple. And that visually sets the head usually in the right position.
All right. Another question. I have a girl who learned to swim with me when I believed in catch-up drills. She's now in grade 7 and swim freestyle only catch-up. She's tried everything to get her out of the catch-up. On backstroke, she does the same with hands at leg level. How can I correct it?
Yeah, if they're saying hands at leg level, then following the progression drills that I do with one arm side kick and all the one arm drills where you start with a hand up, swim through, pause over there. If this child is already big, which it sounds like it, the 12 kick, 6 kick, 3 kick drills are incredible because they teach timing, and because of the way that I teach it with the lift in between, the 3-step manner, which like I said, I couldn't show today, but I'm happy to come back again. Those drills will correct the timing. The freestyle one, I can speak to that on Friday when we do our talk on Friday. And just for all that are listening, there was a change in the date. It's not Thursday, it's now Friday. But yeah, getting a child out of catch-up freestyle is actually not that hard. I've got some fun tips for that on Friday. I hope that's answered.
Yes. Any teaching points for swimmers who kick with knees out? And I'm assuming that's the same bent knees question.
Yes, yeah, it's the same. It's probably one of the biggest errors that you will see in backstroke. It's why in my assumptions I said that there's a good basic back kick. In the learn to swim section of teaching, the swimmers often sit outside the pool and will warm up because they can't swim lengths and lengths, but we've got to get that blood flowing and oxygen moving around the body, as well as them getting used to the water. So sitting on the wall and that backstroke kick there, because you're in a position, my recommendation is 2 things. Firstly, make sure your children are paying attention and looking at their feet and their knees. And again, demonstrate to them, this is what we're looking for, bubbles and not bicycles. You have to correct this again and again and again and again. But like I mentioned, the way I teach, I don't let children get away with 5 minutes of bad kick. The minute I see the knees bobbing and bouncing, I correct it straight away. There is a thing called visual learning that when you actually watch the legs, the brain is now learning how to kick. And so if there are errors, you're picking up on that. But most often in that warm-up phase, children are looking around and talking, and coaches and teachers are not on their kids. Be on your kids, get them to kick beautiful, perfect little flutter kicks from the feet, making milkshakes, not bicycles. If you progress it even further, if you do have a little step, you can move off the side of the pool onto the little step. If they lie back like they're on their elbows at the beach, not only will they engage their core, but the legs will be under the water. And then you ask them to make a milkshake, and you'll immediately see if the knees pop up, and you tell them, knees stay under the water, only want to see those bubbly milkshakes. And those two exercises, if done right at learn to swim level, will negate the error at learn to stroke.
Great. If you only have a 25-meter pool, is that okay, or would you suggest half laps at a time?
Yeah, absolutely cut it down. I've often taught in a 25-meter pool, and I will work to the 5-meter flags. I will work to 8 meters and just put a noodle or a board on the side of the pool. And I have also a landing platform that I put at 12.5 meters if the children are ready to go that far. If you've got a landing platform, it really, really does help, because then as the one finishes, they can rest on the landing platform, and then you can keep the class rotating. And I move that from 5 meters to 8 meters to 10 to 12.5. So please don't use the full 25 if the children are too young or not physically capable.
All right, let's close questions. There are these last 3 which we'll get to, but no more questions, please. Right, with sinking hips, what tips do you have for those kids whose bodies don't float so well?
Yeah, look, the ones who have just got higher bone density and muscle density and do struggle, understanding how buoyancy works, correcting the center of gravity, which is usually by the hips, with the center of buoyancy, which is by the chest. You've got to overcompensate. The exercise I gave, the teaching tip of lying back into your chicken wings, I would suggest going behind your swimmer, holding them on the shoulder blade and telling them to lean into you, that you will keep them safe. Head position is obviously important, but the more they can lean back into the shoulders, the better the hips come up. And then, of course, actually just a good kick should be able to correct that as well. But you've got to play around with that at an early stage, get the children to understand how floating works, because if the float is good, you'll be able to get the hips up, and then the leaning back into the chicken wings becomes quite an easy trick. But practice, just practice, practice, and it's not easy for everybody.
All right, and when do you incorporate equipment such as finger paddles?
Yeah, at this learn to stroke, I almost don't ever use equipment. I am under the impression that I want children to feel the water. I want to feel the adjustment in the body, the catch in the hand and all of that. But I'm not against equipment, because, for instance, if you've got a child who is unable to catch and you want to use those finger paddles, or maybe you've got a swimmer who is a natural breaststroker, lovely flexed ankles, and you're struggling to go into the arm stroke development because the kick is so poor, and every time you introduce the arm, they sink. So then introducing a short flipper is a great idea, just in a limited period, so that the focus is off, for instance, the kick, so they can focus on the arm. But my number one choice is to try to avoid equipment at this stage. I want them feeling and learning and developing the skill in their body.
Great. Okay, absolute last one. How do you deal with a child that won't put his or her ears into the water?
That again comes right back to the learn to swim side of it. This child is then not ready to go into learn to stroke for backstroke. You've got to be at a comfortable phase where you can float and get the ears in. But in learn to swim, there are always those kids. Often they tend to go forwards under with their ears and have no problem. It's the going back when the water's trickling in. So 2 things is, one, to just show them, well, look, you were underwater and the water didn't bother you. So don't worry, when it goes back, we've got an ear hole. The water will go in. When we sit up, the water will come out. And demonstrate that to them. Let them go forwards and notice they didn't mind the water in their ears. Let them go back and lift them up quite speedily so the water trickles out, and say, you see. And then it's just about desensitizing, asking the parents on a daily basis at the start of the bath to just let the child in very shallow water put their head safely on the bottom of the bath and just have water in their ears. In actual fact, if parents did this with their little tiny babies, we as learn to swim instructors wouldn't struggle with kids putting their ears in the water. But it's usually parents who were a bit nervous to get their kids' hair wet and ears in the water. So yeah, it's a great skill for Todd Swim actually.
Right, great. That's the end of the questions. It's been a fabulous hour and 20 minutes. Sorry for everybody extra time, but there is just so much to discuss on this.
Yeah, I really appreciate everyone giving this extra time, and I hope you find it valuable. I really will be trying to keep to that 1 hour mark, because I don't want to take away from your rest time in the evening. But I'm so passionate and love what I do, guys. So yeah, you have to forgive me there. But thank you again, and thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Swim Coach. It's been an incredible experience, and thank you to everyone, because I get to live my passion, which is teaching and sharing knowledge. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. See you Friday. Cheers.